Hi, welcome to another lunchtime stream. Today I'm going to be looking at a new piece of software that's come out called KenShape. It's created by Kenney, who most of you probably watching the stream know creates lots of free art assets. It's a new piece of program that allows you to draw pixel art and sort of turn it into 3D models. Looks pretty cool from the information I've got. And at $3.99, it's not going to break the bank. So we'll take a look at this and let's see what I think of it. Right, so to begin with, let's have a look. We'll just make something small to begin with to see if we can work out how things work. I've had a quick read of the documentation, so I've got a basic understanding of it. So let's have a go at drawing. Let's draw a candlestick, something nice and simple to begin with. So you choose. There's different shapes that you can choose, which will have different effects from what I can see on the model you make. So let's make a basic candlestick shape. And then some white for the candle itself. Oh. Right, that's the first thing I've noticed. It doesn't seem to be any way of undoing things without just reworking the area if you go wrong like I did there. Let's have a look. Right, so it sort of gives you a 3D, you can preview it and it gives you a 3D model of basically the pixel art. So obviously each pixel is going to be sort of 1 pixel sort of depth. Don't look totally square. Yeah, they do. Right. So there's all these different shapes here as well. So that one I presume makes about half the width. So let's add a wick to the candle. So there, yep, that looks good. The way that it works is you can add depth to the pixels, so therefore making your 3D model not just flat like it's showing at the moment in the preview. So let's start by giving the candle a bit of depth. So that therefore changes the depth to 2. As you can see in the preview at the bottom, it's sort of thickening that candle out. The base. Do the same on the base. Right, so if we can make that a bit thicker. So you can see it's bringing out the width sort of differently for the candle depending on these numbers that are going in. Make that base a little bit bigger. Maybe if we could make that top bit a little bit not as wide, so it's getting a proper sort of 3D look to it. I think maybe if we go up to 8 with that bottom and 6 with that. Take a look. So very quickly, you've got a basic sort of voxel style 3D model which you can export to various 3D formats. You've got OBJ, FBX, pretty much all the 3D export options you could want. You can choose how the texture that is exported as well, and the optimize, as far as from reading the documentation, that sort of just optimizes the 3D model that it outputs. There's also an option to export as a voxel model or as a GIF, so it's quite useful. Even if you're going to use it just to maybe quickly get a basic shape up and then you're going to take it into a 3D model like Blender and then start adding more details to it, you've got a good starting point there. You could start then sculpting and maybe quite a quick workflow for getting things ready. Right. There's my preview gone. I'm not actually sure what makes that preview appear and not appear, because it seems to have disappeared, but yeah, no idea. So yeah, well, there we have a basic candle. The only thing just from sort of doing that basic model is the depth. There's only 8 levels of depth, which if you're doing something larger, it's going to be quite limiting probably to what you can make. You've only got to make quite narrow depth-wise objects. Let's have a go at something else. Yeah, let's have a go at making a wine bottle. The other thing that I've noticed it seems to be lacking is a flood fill option. You've literally got to put every single pixel in, which on a 16 by 16 is not too bad, but maybe on the 32 by 32 size, if you're drawing, the lack of a fill option would slow you down a little bit. I've got a basic bottle shape. Add a label to it. Let's have a look at some of these shapes here, see if we can get things a little bit. Oh yeah, you can, I think to rotate that it's space, so then you can pop that on that side. It gives you a little bit of a curve there. A few different shapes that we can use. Maybe we could add a little cork out of the top with the that sort of effect, and maybe now if we add a bit of depth to it. There doesn't seem to be any way to zoom in or out either. You're stuck with the fixed position. I keep finding myself wanting to use the scroll wheel to scroll down, but there's not that option there. So let's make, again here, being able to flood fill all of the depths would be quicker than working like this, but it's only the first version, so I'm sure there'll be lots of improvements come over time. No idea why the previews disappeared from down here. That was useful. Look at the documentation, see if there's any way of getting that back. No, it doesn't seem to be. So what we've got, quite a basic bottle. Obviously the label I've put on the front, with it just being like a slice through of the 3D model. It appears on the back as well. If that was annoying you, you could always change that in a 3D modelling package. with the exported model. Right, let's have a go at drawing something. I think actually there may be some samples, so let's take a look at the samples that come with it. So that's one of the samples that comes with it, a potion bottle. So yeah, you can see how, just with a little bit more work than I was putting in, just adding a little bit more differences of depth, you can make quite a nice little bottle there with the stopper and everything. And what else is there? Motorbike. Yeah, so you can, a motorbike. Again, it's a very sort of stylized look it's got, but I could imagine making a 3D game using these sort of assets. So they use the curve shapes and the sort of diagonal shapes that you can change here in the drawing mode to get quite a nice bit of variation to the model. A suitcase. Again, using the curves to get variation. Yeah, it's a really nice little tool, this. Right, let's try and draw something else. Let's go a little bit bigger, because I'm going to try and maybe get a basic car. So let's do a red car. There is the option as well to load pallets. So I've got a few pallets here, so load the Pico 8 palette. So then you've got a different palette you can play around with, use whatever palettes you want in. Right, I like this palette, so I'll use this one for the car. So let's go back to using full squares. Probably don't need the full height of 32, but I wanted the width, so a rough outline of a car. Excuse my quick drawing here, it's not the best, but
the chosen, all beasts will shiver from the lion to the crow. When winter comes, when times are starkest, when the wailing of the wolves fades with the sun.
Right, yeah, just it'd be nice to have the undo function there, which seems a very basic thing that's missing from it. I have to say this is one of the most appalling pieces of pixel art that I've ever drawn. It's a very basic looking car, but you get the idea, you could spend a lot more time. Yeah, so let's add a few of these curves and things in. Remember to change the colour. Yeah, they don't actually look too. Yeah. presume I need to add an extra block in there to get that to work properly. Another thing that I'm noticing, it'd be nice to be able to do the other edge there. So I'm only just starting using it, but it looks like I can't see an option. You can't right click on a colour to choose like a background colour to get rid of. You can get rid of the sharpness on one side but not on both. Again, that'd be a nice feature to have if you could make it smooth on both sides. Let's add a curve on the back there for where the bumper is. Yeah, this is not looking the best, but don't judge Kenney software based on my ability to use it. So yourself on the examples, there's a lot better things being made. Right, let's add some depth to it. So we'll make it all 6 to begin with. We've got a very rubbish looking car there. The wheels slightly set back on the wheel arches of the car. Let's give them a depth of 5. And we'll see what the windows look like using the same thing, just try and get a little bit of an inset. Maybe I need to do them the same depth, but we'll see what that looks like. I'm not sure what those are, why those artifacts are there, because it's looks like it should be solid there. Try redrawing them. There's another one there which it's because I've not set the depth. I think it's got to look better with the windows all level. Maybe I'm trying to put a little bit too much detail into it and it's not really what it's designed for. So a very basic car there. I'm sure given time you could make something a lot better. I bet there's a probably better demo of a car in the actual samples. No. Is that a tree? Yeah, pine tree. Yeah, you can see what you're going to be able to make. It's very stylized, but I'm sure for the price as well, it's less than $4, which not sure what that is in pounds, but probably less. It's less than a £5 anyway. So a sword. Oh, that's nice. Especially with there must be a shape that sort of gives it these like notch out effects. I think it's got to be most useful maybe for smaller objects like swords, and as opposed to making larger things at the moment like cars and things, just mainly because of the lack of the depth that you can give things. But I thought it would have made more sense if with having a 32 by 32 square you can draw on, maybe being able to do the depth to 32 as well. Right, let's have a go at making something else. Let's make a treasure chest. So we shall make it if we do it 8 high, then we can make it as deep as it is high. Yeah, I really would like to be able to flood fill this instead of having to do every so we've got a basic box shape for the chest. Give it a bit of lighting. Yeah, it's going to be quite hard to get sort of. I don't think I've got like pixel art. I like to do shading. I think that's probably not what the software is designed for, because it's taking a slice all the way back. But we'll get rid of that and I'll just stick with the basic shape. It's just a different style of working that I'll have to get used to if I'm going to use this for any projects. So that can be like, maybe we could make a lock for. Again, I think I'll probably try to get too much detail in there, so just have that. Not sure why every now and then some of the depths get set back to 1 when you draw over them, and some don't. So yeah, that's not looking too bad. A chest with a lock. Again, you've got the locks at the front and the back. Which if you're using it in a game and it's up against a wall, that's not really going to cause any problems. Right, we'll add a top to the. What we've got to do, make that a little bit different. Again, the first part where I'd started drawing had changed to a 1 again. Hi Sticks, is it good? Yes and no. It's very quick to sort of get something mocked up, but it seems to have some limitations. You can only do a depth of 8 sort of pixels, so if you were doing something sort of bigger up to the full 32 by 32 pixels you can only really make narrow items. And I thought it had maybe made more sense that if you were doing something 32 by 32 there was a depth of 32 as well, but it's got all the export things. You can export it out in all the different 3D formats, voxel or GIF, so no, it's a fun little tool, and for I think $3.99 it's not got to break the bank. made a couple of little models, and if you think that if you can make that in a few minutes, export it and then take it into Blender and then start sculpting or adding more detail into it in Blender, then it's not, could speed up workflow a little bit. So we'll make those a depth of 8, but try and get a curved lid on this box, this chest. Go back to the depth. I'm sure, as well as I've been saying in the stream, with a bit of practice and somebody knowing what they're actually doing with it, they could probably make something a lot better than I'm making. It doesn't have an ability to zoom in, so you're stuck working as well at this size, and it doesn't have an undo function, which seems a bit of an oversight. Okay, and I've missed one there. I'm sure that randomly every now and then some of these things are getting set back to different depths, because I'm sort of setting them all and then I go into preview and sometimes it's disappeared. And when you're drawing, there's these sort of different angles you can put on things which affect how it renders as well. So you can see there it's sort of added these sloped corners on. Try and make this a bit better than the other efforts of things that I've made. Yeah, a very poor looking chest. Yeah, there's a few samples which I've gone through a few of them, so I'm not bothered about saving that. Like a spaceship being made. Could see making like a shoot 'em up with various sort of aliens and spaceships and things all made using this. Toolbox. I think you just need to think probably before you start exactly what you're going to be making, not come in like I have and just randomly pick some objects and just try and draw them. Yeah, but yeah, I'd recommend it. I think it could do with some improvements, but I think as it is for the price, well worth it. Right, well, that is the end of the stream. I just wanted to give that a quick test out and see what it looked like. The link to Kenney's website where you can purchase it's in the description. Apart from a few things which I think could do with being fixed over time, mainly maybe being able to add more depth, being able to undo a flood fill facility, and maybe the ability to set a foreground and a background colour, so you could maybe use these diagonal blocks and the shape blocks sort of to smooth between two different areas. Apart from that, no, a really nice piece of software. Well, thanks